going, baby? How you living? How you living?
I really like to take this challenge for myself, aside of just being a musician.
She had a swishy jacket and some thing in her head.
Even it's really big for you.
Yeah, it's like the size of me.
Don't worry, I won't say anything stupid. I hope. It's just like a crazy metal band, like shooting everything up.
My advice is forget the movies and look for a good job.
My daughter is going to sleep, so I needed to say goodnight to her.
I don't want terrible things to always be happening to me and my children.
I think I was more nervous when the movie was premiering and coming out, because then I realized that people actually had to see it.
Nice to escape the studio. We have the beautiful, not sunny English countryside behind us.
This country and this world can do a whole lot better.
Wow, what a presentation.
Right, like I want people to know that you didn't just show up now.
That's where the idea of the pancake came from.
But you're the only person ever who has ever asked me that question. Ever.
Oh, wow.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington, in the United States of America. And thank you so much for joining me on this Hump Day, Wednesday, the 18th of August, 2021. And real quick housekeeping before we get to my interview this afternoon. I know we've got fans waiting in the chat patiently. Tomorrow, I want to let everybody know that at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, I have the legend herself, Doro, coming to stop by and talk about what she has coming up, which is a brand new live album release, as well as a documentary. So that's at 12:30 p.m. tomorrow. If you'd like to know more details about what I have coming up in the future, you can follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first. And then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could hit the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate that. And if you want to know what's coming up, you can hit the little notification bell, but please be aware that we'll send emails to your inbox. And sometimes you don't want a clog full of email inbox. But I really appreciate everybody being here today. I've been looking forward to doing this interview. And yeah, so let's kind of get going with things. Oh, and if you're over on the Twitch side of things, I can't forget Twitch. That's where I started with everything over a year ago. If you could follow me over there, I greatly appreciate that as well. That's a platform that I will always maintain a presence on. Okay, and I forgot to mention, if you are new and you want to ask a question of my guest, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and you should instantaneously have access to the chat to be able to put in a question. I will be folding those in as often as I can within the time that we have allotted today. So just know this is your chance. If you have something that you want to ask, then put it in there and I will fold it in. Sometimes I've done interviews where I don't have enough time, so I only get to like 1 or 2 questions. But today we should have time to get to quite a few of them, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, my guest today is a talented vocalist, musician, and artist. Her band recently returned to the live stage after a 19-month wait. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Lena Scissorhands from Infected Rain.
Hi guys. Hello, how are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing really, really well, Lena. How are you?
Doing good. It's a beautiful day, and yes, I'm getting more and more excited for the future.
Yes, that's so exciting that the band's going to be back out on the road here in the U.S. really, really soon this month. And but before we get to that and other things, and everybody in the chat, hi to you. What was it like getting back onto a stage? Because I was just thinking about this. This is live stream number 133 this year, and I have not had the chance to talk to a guest that has since gone back onto a live performance stage. So please, I want to live vicariously through you.
Oh my God, I don't think there are enough words to describe the excitement and anxiety and happiness and positivity, and at the same time, fear. This cocktail, this mix was there. I won't be lying. And the reason for that was mainly people and the connection with the audience and all the technical little things that we were not used to do anymore, like everything that happens before the show and after the show and during the show with the crew members that help you and all those little things that you forgot how to deal with. But we kept very busy during all this 19 months, and we were very productive. We even worked together a couple of times. I flew back to Moldova, where the band is from. So we kept productive and always doing music, right? So the music aspect was still there. I don't know how it was for other bands. We even performed, filmed new music videos, and a bunch of stuff that is going to come out very soon. However, the actual performance in front of people, that's what we didn't have for so long. And that was the scary but emotional part of it. It was pretty awesome, honestly, pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I know I'm flashbacking back to like when I was doing live streams in the fall and talking to guests about that moment when they're back on a stage, or in my case, the next time I'm back into a photo pit and shooting a band, and that you're going to see people like crying and hugging and doing all kinds of things because a lot of emotion has been built up over these months.
Yes,
so,
that happened a lot.
Yeah, and the mix of things that you said, of having some fear and happiness and all these kind of things all built together makes perfect sense, because you haven't had a chance to do what you love in front of an audience for months. So it all kind of comes rushing back to you. But now you've done it, and you're getting ready for this U.S. tour with Butcher Babies and Stitch Up. I know Kaleido's on some of those dates. I saw Butcher Babies back in like 2016, I want to say. And then I also noticed that I had a kind of...
Oh, I'm sorry. I have my dog. She's being very needy right now. I'll open the door for her.
No problem.
Come on. All right. Yeah, she gets a little bit jealous when I talk to the computer.
How is Luna today?
Luna is doing great. I think she knows that soon she's going on tour.
Okay. Nice.
She knows, because I keep getting ready and buying stuff and preparing her for this trip.
That's gotta be awesome to have her out on tour with you. I've interviewed a couple bands where they've had their pets with them, and it's such a nice comfort from home. It's a nice security piece. It's just everything.
It's gonna be our first time on tour together. She traveled with me before internationally and inside the US for long trips and work trips, but never on tour with my band yet, because she was too small when we had the last tour. So it's going to be very interesting.
I'm flashbacking back to when there was a little dog who was like a Chihuahua that was trying to get into my camera bag as we were getting ready to do the interview on the tour bus. And she was doing her job initially because she didn't know who I was. So initially she barked at me, and then she warmed up real quick. And she was trying to get into my bag and trying to get under my shirt. Everything.
Take me home.
Yeah, it was. I'm definitely an animal lover, so and I know you are as well. So it makes sense. But I was like, I looked through my notes because I remember that initially you guys were going to be coming to El Corazon here in Seattle back on May 20th, 2020, I should say. And then it was going to be March of this year, and we all kind of know what happened with all these things. And then I saw this tour was coming here with Butcher Babies. I was like, oh, awesome. And then there's no Northwest date.
Yeah, I know. I wish. I never been to Seattle, never been to Oregon, so I really want to visit myself, trust me.
Well, and it'll happen in the future. I know a lot of times with the tour, especially right now, because some places, the promoters weren't ready for things and they didn't know if they could book anything. So we'll try to get them on the next round, on the next kind of thing. It makes sense to me totally.
Well, I can tell you only one thing. We are definitely booking next year very, very much so at the moment. And I think it's going to be very productive year.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to hear that. And I know that you have, like you said, during the time you've been working on the new album, and you got videos ready to promote that, and all this stuff's all lined up. It sounds like all these ducks in a row that you're getting ready to unleash on everybody. What can you talk about? Is there anything that you can talk about now? Is it still too premature to talk about?
It is a little bit premature. However, I can tell you that we did have a little plan going on, which I can share with you. This plan is to release everything starting with September. So starting with September, almost every month, Infected Rain is going to release something new for almost 6 months, I want to say. For 6 months in a row, we will have something new every month to show to people, stuff that we worked on during all this time. So that's all I can tell you. The new album is going to come out in January next year, and it is absolutely amazing. I'm a big fan of it already, I gotta say. So yeah, I can't wait for everybody to give it a try.
Okay, awesome. I see a question from Mike came in about how excited are the boys coming over to the US?
Yeah, very excited. Everything is very hectic right now because unfortunately, now I can say that. I couldn't say that before, but unfortunately, the whole process of getting all the paperwork in, all the paperwork right, and then the embassy trip and the visa procedure and everything took longer than expected because of the COVID situation in the world. Took longer, it was more difficult. And to be honest with you guys, we only had the 100% confirmation that everything is happening like less than a week ago. Although we were already promoting the tour and we were believing that everything will go right because it couldn't be different, but we were depending on other people. We were depending on embassies and everybody. So we couldn't say that because we didn't want to put fear or disappointment in anybody's, mind, in our mind either. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting right now. It's very hectic because we're doing everything very last minute. The preparation, I mean, obviously the major things were prepared and done way up front. So they are very excited, so excited. Only 2 members of Infected Rain besides me visited America before for little vacation trips. The other 2 and the crew members never been here to this country, so it's going to be fun. I'm hoping to have them here in Las Vegas after the tour, maybe for a little vacation after tour vacation as well, but hopefully we'll see how things go.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, and that's some of the things that have been behind the scenes for every band,
Yeah,
especially international membered bands like yours, where it's like, we're hoping, and
yeah,
we're just going to keep being positive and not, just kind of going with the plan of attack. And then if things don't work out, then that's when we'll let people know. But other than that, it sounds like things are on the up and up, and you'll be ready to
yeah.
play all those shows.
They're working out, but very slowly. The responses and the feedbacks from everybody that is involved in order for a band to travel so far in a country that requires visas is normally the procedure. The procedure is very tedious, no matter what. But due to COVID, it's even more so.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope this doesn't happen to anybody out there. But I'm thinking back to when things first locked down in March last year.
Yeah.
That I was thinking some bands, like there's one band member from Sweden. He was on vacation somewhere in the islands, like in the Caribbean. He got stuck there for a while because he couldn't get a flight back out. And I know somebody visiting somebody. And they were visiting somebody here in the United States, and then they got locked out. So they said, "Oh, I guess I'm staying here for a longer vacation than I
know,
thought."
right?
So, yeah, everyone's had to kind of learn to adjust and pivot and kind of go with the flow, even if we didn't want to.
Yeah, very true. But we survived, and we are becoming stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's gotten a new skill set, and it could be something as small as like doing virtual things or working from home or whatever your thing is, or you learn a new skill just to pass the time.
Yeah.
You learn how to do woodworking or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I know, for me, prior to the pandemic, this kind of thing I had never done before. I didn't know what it was. And I've told all the guests this, that if you go look on my YouTube channel, you can see that very first live stream I did, and it's horrific.
You learned. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. You learn things and you just keep trying to make it better.
True.
that's kind of where it's at. And I have to thank Ove, because he was mentioning one of the videos he said I should check out on your Bananas channel. And it was when you went back home and you're kind of showing where you lived and all of these other kind of things and stories that kind of came back to you. So that was really fascinating to me. And so Ove, thank you for recommending that last week. And yeah, I'm curious. So when you went back to, I assume to rehearse with the band before the big festival, what was it like being back there now?
It actually, I was there a month prior to that as well for some filming and some work that I had to do with the band. Yeah, the only chaotic and unpredictable thing that sucks is actually the travel itself, because when you travel internationally, you have to cross other countries, and every single country has their own rules. Every single airport have their own rules. They make a lot of changes, and you're not aware of those changes. Nobody tells you about them, like nobody sends you emails about it, because it's just so chaotic. It's too much. So you have to always remind yourself not to stress too much, to breathe out and just go with whatever the rules are if you want to get what you get where you want to get. It's not easy. It's very challenging, I'll be honest, especially when you're in such a long trip, a trip that can take from 26 to 38 hours one way only. And I'm talking the whole time, obviously, the flights and the layovers, everything together. It's pretty stressful. You don't really sleep well, you don't really eat well, and you have to deal with all these new rules that you're not even accustomed with. So that is the most difficult part. Once you're out of the airport, it's pretty much easier, the lifestyle and everything, I gotta say. And then this trip, when I went for this festival only, we didn't believe that it's gonna happen, to be honest, because we had to reschedule all the festivals because of all these rules and the unknown. But this specific festival and the promoters of this festival, they were very insistent, and they actually flew me from here there, although that wasn't something they agreed on in the beginning, because we were supposed to be on a road on other festivals, and we were supposed to be closer. So yeah, they proposed this solution, and we went with it. And yeah, I flew 32 hours one way, slept 4 hours, went on stage, slept another 2 hours, and then back another 33 hours. I made it happen.
Wow. That made me tired just hearing that.
I know, right? It is overwhelming.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But that also shows your dedication to, what you will do to, in this case, finally get back on stage in front of the fans that, love and adore you. So, but gosh, I think the longest flight I've ever been on has probably been like 6 hours, I think, at most.
The flight itself, it's not, it's tiring, of course, but it's not the biggest problem. It's the changes between flights, the running from one gate to another, the constant custom that sometimes in the same airport you have to go through 5 customs. It's insane. It's just rules right now don't apply. There are completely new rules everywhere in every country. So that's pretty much what tires you the most, because it's tiring to just sit in one place without moving much during a long flight, but I wish it was only that.
Thank you for sharing all this. I think these are the things that even people like myself, fans and other media people, that we don't understand that aspect when it comes to traveling international, like you're saying, and traveling right now, that all these things are new, and that we don't take into account of, like, well, how come when they perform they seem to maybe a little bit tired or something? It's like,
correct.
Well,
yeah, people don't put the 2 and 2 together for sure. Some people do, but not many. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back to like when I see comments from people, not during live streams, but just on social media in general, and they're like a band played and maybe someone couldn't hang around the merch table, and they're like, how come you didn't come out? It's like, well, maybe they're sick, or maybe they just had a 24-hour flight or whatever it is. And they would love to, but the main focus is the show. They've got to get up there and do the show first, and everything else, if they can do it, great. If they can't, they can't.
Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes people can get very demanding, especially if they get used to you doing certain things. But then they don't sit down and realize that the ticket that they purchased, actually, they purchased a ticket for your show. Everything that you get on top of it, it's just because the musician was able to do. Now, the stuff that musician is able to do doesn't always depend on the musician, because the musician is on tour with other musicians and tour managers, and the rules about traveling from one state to another or one country to another. Sometimes you have to do very big distances, and you have to seriously just load in everything into your trailer and go as fast as possible right after the show. But I do understand. I love to go to shows as well. And I do understand the expectation, I guess, that fans have, or just music listeners have. I wish they were a little bit more understanding sometimes, because we really always do whatever we can to give as much attention as we can to the people that had the time and the will to come see us play. We are very thankful, and we try to show that.
Yeah, well, it's very well said. I mean, what you just said right now, I think if people don't understand that, you're doing everything within a reasonable amount of effort to interact with fans and things like that, that's great. But also at the same time, yeah, you might have your next show might be down from Seattle. You might have to go down to Denver. So you got to pack it up and get out of here. And so that's just the reality of the road. I know for myself as a media person, there's definitely times when I get a list of things sent to me of what I can and cannot talk about in an interview. That happens. So I stick to it. Or time, like we asked pre-shows, like I'm trying to figure out how much time you have, because I want to be respectful of that. Sometimes you get 5 minutes, sometimes you have 30 minutes or whatever. You just work with it. And then I'll get DMs to me, Mark, how come your interview was so short? Or how come you didn't ask this? It's like, well, I didn't have time to ask it. These are how things work. I do see that Ove was asking if you've ever considered coloring your hair in the Moldovan flag colors.
No. Why would I do that? It's colors that don't go very well together, and they might blend into each other, and then the result might be like a dirt color. So unfortunately, it's not that easy to, when you have certain palettes of colors in your hair, especially, they tend to blend into each other sometimes, especially when you're on stage a lot and you sweat, or especially when you have this super bright colors that are actually semi-permanent colors. They are not, like chemically fully inside your hair, so they don't stay there forever. They wash off. So that would be a very funny dirt color if I was sweating with my red, yellow, and blue in my hair.
Well, there you go, Ove. That sounds like a really good reason not to do that.
Yeah.
Wow. And I bring this up every now and then because it's come up during some of the other live streams, and I'm just curious with your own take on this. When are we going to get to a point when you're the singer in the band, not the female singer or the female fronted person or any of this kind of crap? Even like this tour in the US, I mean, people are probably going to pick up on the different members in each lineup. It's like, why can't you just be the singer in the band?
So I think we should just stop thinking about it in general, and maybe that's when that's actually going to stop. Because from my end, I decided this for myself long ago, long ago, when I was just constantly asked this question all the time. I decided for myself that I can't let it bother me, because it's going to be there for as long as it bothers me. So I just, as long as I consider myself being a musician, period, no matter what my sex is, my ethnicity is, my native language or religion or point of view on life is. I'm just a musician. This is what I chose to do for my career, and this is what I'm trying to do without really promoting anything else. I'm only promoting the music I do with my musicians from Infected Rain and the lyrics I write, the themes I write about, but that's pretty much it, right? So that's all I can say really right now from my end. But I think sooner or later that's going to be more normal, and it's going to be kind of awkward to ask that, or to like bring it up.
I would hope so. I remember having a conversation, gosh, that was quite a few years ago with Charlotte from Delane. And that's when we were talking about, I said, when are you going to be the musician or the singer in this band? And she's like, yes.
Thank you.
Exactly. And it's just like, I don't get too many people saying, well, Mark, you're the male interviewer or you're the Asian interviewer or anything like that. No, you're the interviewer doing Eclectic Arts. It's kind of crazy. But
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Hi, Claudio. And I see Claudio is asking, is there a possibility or any plans that this same tour could happen in Germany or let's say Europe?
The possibility is there, especially when it comes to us and Butcher Babies, because we became such close friends and we've been talking about it for so long. However, we are not planning it. I'm not going to lie about it. We're not planning it yet. Not yet, because it doesn't, we are not in the position to do long-term plans yet. Really, nobody is. So we are planning it by year. We would love to, of course, because we feel so comfortable with them and they would love to as well. So who knows, maybe next year, maybe in a couple of years, but I'm sure things like that are going to happen a lot.
Okay, and Claudio, thanks for the question. And Lena, that makes perfect sense. That I think every band's kind of looking short term, and then the rest of it's kind of like, well, it'd be nice if these things happen, then these things can happen, but it's kind of like preliminary thing that's off in the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of which, since you're down in Vegas, there's that big festival this weekend, I believe. Isn't Seco Las Vegas this weekend down there?
I heard about something like that, but I'm not sure when it is. No, I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. Just that I have kind of a random mind, so sometimes random things pop into it.
It's possible. I'll be honest, I'm not like aware of all the events that happen here. Sometimes I found out last minute about them. But especially nowadays, this last month was very interesting and hectic with all the preparations and like the travels and everything. So I lost track a little bit.
Okay, yeah, and that makes sense. And just for me, again, kind of a random question, what drew you to Las Vegas to live?
I really like it here. It's very interesting that this was actually the very first spot that I visited in 2013 when I was just visiting America for the first time. I happened to have a friend here, and she's from my country as well, and she invited me at the time to come visit. She invited me for her birthday, and just everything was aligned perfectly. It was perfect timing. I could actually take a break. We weren't on tour, and that's what I did. So I visited her. We were very close at the time. She moved from here. That's why we aren't really all that close anymore. But yeah, she was the reason I visited America in first place, and specifically Las Vegas. She showed me around a lot. I really loved it. I do love warmer weather, especially. I do like that it's more dry. I don't do very well in humidity. I don't mind it. I lived in Italy, very humid climate. And Moldova can be pretty humid too. I lived in other countries, but here is completely different type of climate, and it just works well with me. I really like it. With time, I made a lot of friends, and it's not too far from California, LA especially, where you can have so many things in the show business industry, in the just entertainment in general. So I like this spot pretty much for now. So I don't know, maybe something is going to change. I visited America quite quite a lot, I want to say, for work as a model, and I worked at some tattoo conventions, and I visited some friends. So I visited some states here, which I loved a lot. But I really like living here. It's quieter than people think. People associate Las Vegas with continuous party, which it is if you're a tourist, but not if you live here.
See, and that makes perfect sense, because I've got some friends that live there, and to them it's just like, yeah, this is my home. It's not, I don't go on the strip all the time. Lots of them don't go there at all.
It's more quiet than people think, actually. Yes, I'm not too far from nature. I have some mountains, like seriously, almost in my backyard. So I feel nicely remote and nicely tucked into a like more quiet area, but at the same time I feel like if I want to eat any cuisine at all or restaurant at all, Vegas has it all. If I need any type of entertainment or shows between Las Vegas and California, you can see pretty much everybody. Also, a lot of people from LA moved here, especially musicians, and the group of friends is growing, and I really feel like home here. I do.
That's awesome. And yeah, everything you said, you have the best of both worlds. You have this, like you said, kind of a tucked away, quieter lifestyle. But then if you want to go out there and party, you got the entire strip and every cuisine you can think of.
It really is true. And even for me, I eat vegan. Las Vegas has become almost a heaven for vegan people. It really does. So it makes me very happy. Although I do prefer cooking myself a little bit more than eating out, but having this choice of eating out, as much as here, I never had it in anywhere I went to visit. It's always a little struggle to find a place, I will be honest, when you travel, especially if you don't know, you're not local, so you have to do your research, right? But here, so easy, so easy.
Nice. And that kind of brings up a question. So when you go on tour really soon here in the US, do you use like an app to find vegan restaurants in the town you're in, or what do you tend to do?
Correct. There is, I mean, I'm using an app that works worldwide. So everywhere you are on a planet, basically through this app, it shows you restaurants that are vegan or that have vegan options in your surroundings. So that helps a lot for sure. I also tend to buy things in the store. So I have like little plan B just in case. I'm not the only vegan in the band. My guitar player Vidic, he's also vegan. That helps a little bit because we have each other's back sometimes. So we like provide for each other if like one is busy or whatever, you know. So yeah, and especially being on tour sometimes with other bands that also have members that are vegan also helps. But I don't find it as difficult. To be honest with you, we can find difficulties in anything we want if that's what we want. But a solution is there. We just have to think harder or work harder. One can say, oh, it's not ideal for me to go to the store and have, you know, stuff around in the whatever, in my bunk or whatever, I don't know. But one will be like, okay, well, I prefer going to the store and buying whatever I want instead of either not eating at all and feeling dizzy on stage, or eating crap and feeling very shitty the next day or the same day on a stage, which happens on tour all the time with people that even eat normal food, like the classic type of diet.
See, and that makes sense too, because like eventually when you come here to Seattle on a tour, if that's next year or whenever, there's a really great vegan place like 5 minutes from the venue you were supposed to play last year.
Okay.
And their entire menu is vegan, and it's right up on the hill. So it's like, yeah, anytime there's been bands that come through here, and if I happen to be interviewing them ahead of time and they haven't had their meal brought to them or what have you, I was like, hey, there's a place right up here because I know that you're vegan and you're vegan. and that type of thing. So it's kind of
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fans, I gotta say, a lot of people DM'd me when we posted the dates saying that, hey, in this city, these are the cool vegan spots, you know, if you want, go there. And everybody was so kind. But yeah, I'm sure we're all gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's not at all a problem, not at all an issue. And especially nowadays, you know, it could have been more of a big problem 5 to 6 years ago when I just started. The whole vegan industry wasn't as evolved as it is now. And especially in America, I know that if I go even Walmart has so many vegan options that in any state has a Walmart. You know what I mean? Like in America, it's more unique when you go to other countries where you don't even speak the language to actually explain properly what you need. However, it's still not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. No, that is nice because, like you mentioned, I think one of the first vegan artists I interviewed, that was in 2015, and he just got an app on his phone. And so this whole thing came up. He's like, "Yeah, right now." He was saying something about, "I hope it gets better in the future," and
yeah,
clearly it has. So
yes, 100%.
That's good. And kind of speaking of tour things, I see Mike was asking about earlier. Are there any new surprises with the set list as the tour progresses?
There are going to be some surprises. I can't really promise anything or announce anything yet because, again, not everything depends on us. So I think the main surprise, though, is going to be just the fact that we are going to be able to perform certain songs from our previous album, which only had one tour to support that album. So we couldn't really play a lot of those songs. So now we include some of those songs on this tour, you know, from that album, which is a big deal for us as musicians as well. And of course, for the newer fans. However, we have to remember that although Infected Rain has very big following in America, which I am insanely thankful and grateful, and I feel so lucky to be the band that we are, really where we are standing, considering that we never played in America. We have the biggest following here, and I know that I think the biggest surprise is just to be able to perform in this country, period. You know what I mean? Because it never happened before. So for every single new listener or older listener of Infected Rain, this is going to be a surprise. So
a very pleasant surprise.
Yes.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense too. It's like, hey, you're finally here. You're gonna get a chance to play to all these fans here that have been patiently waiting, and you'll be playing even more. You know, there'll be another tour and another tour, and just keep building, building. And that's just, as we all know, that's how it works for bands. They just build on that foundation, plant those seeds, and it just starts growing and growing and growing. And especially for metal bands, because you got to get out there and tour. That's why it was so devastating the last year and a half, because it's like that's their main source of income for anything. Is you got to get out on the road, sell your merch, meet your fans, and just keep building and building. So, and on the same kind of token, I see always asking about what was it like to join the death metal legend Suffocation on stage back in 2016?
Oh my God. Well, that's a great memory. That's a great memory, actually. That was so improvised, which I never do. But the guys from oh my God. Yeah, the guys from Suffocation, they insisted so much. I didn't have a difficult job, so I learned my part. But it was emotional. It was really cool. And, you know, just making friends like that. And then, you know, playing in front of a completely different audience for completely different type of metalheads was pretty cool.
That's awesome. And this kind of brings up something that I just kind of flashed back to when I saw the Butcher Babies in 2016, is that during the last song, they jumped into the crowd, like literally jumped into the crowd. So as the pit was going around them. So the crowd was basically respectful of them as they're doing the song. Do you have any plans to do something similar yourself?
I improvise. I don't plan it. It's not like a choreography or a theater plot that I'm planning what I'm gonna do. There are certain things that come natural to me, and I repeat them at certain shows for sure, depending on how the venue is formed, and depending on so many things, so many levels, right? Some crowds can be a little bit crazier than others. It depends. Sometimes I do crazy stuff, or my boys do that. They jump and like crowd surf or something. Yeah, it's not something I plan. Never.
Okay, so it's what you're feeling in the moment, pretty much.
Correct. I try to. This is all it is. It's all about being there in that moment and feeling what's happening, the emotion, the everything.
Yeah, that makes sense too. That I remember I was kind of towards the back during the set, and next thing I know, they were and it wasn't them surfing around. They were literally on the floor singing and doing their whole thing while people were just going all the way around them. I wish somebody had videoed that, because I'd never seen anything to that point where the actual band came up in the middle of the song doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, they're a tremendous live act, as you know, since you're good friends with them. And I see, Claudio, you're asking about how the difference was between the gig a year and a half ago and then the festival. We actually kind of talked about that earlier on in the interview. So if you want to go back when we're done, I think you'll kind of get the answer to that about what that experience was like waiting for 19 months. So, and I see over saying your headbanging is epic.
Okay, thank you. It's all these babies right here. It's not me. It's all my hair.
Yeah, see, it'll look cool when you do it. For me, since
my bass player is bald, he does a great job. So don't say that.
Okay, well, hey, okay, I won't say that anymore.
Pay attention. Take lessons from my bass player.
I will have to do that, yeah, because I'm like, I've been a music fan all my life, and the first band I ever concert I ever went to, I was 9 years old. So I mean, I go way back.
Amazing.
Yeah, I saw Kiss in 1979. So
oh my God, that's so great. That's so awesome. I only listen to Kiss on my vinyl.
Nice. Yeah. See, I again, not to take too much time of talking about me, but all those things. So I've been a huge music fan. So I saw them, and then I think the next band was AC/DC, and then I saw the Scorpions, and I saw Van Halen, all that kind of stuff from the 80s. And then I'm also a musician and a photographer and a writer and all those kind of things. So a lot of times, like talking with you, yes, I'm media and press, but below all that foundation,
we're all human beings.
Yeah, human beings and a big music nerd.
Exactly. That's what I was in the first place before I became a musician. I was just a very intense music lover. I won't lie. Like, music was under my skin even before I was into metal. Like, I was always feeling it on a different level. I don't know. I always bring up this funny memory I have from my childhood. Sometimes certain songs would pop up on like MTV. MTV used to be cool back in the days. And like, I was young, super young, around 10 years old maybe, right? And a song that I would like, it would make me like literally close my eyes and enjoy the music. I was always made fun of, like by my aunt and stuff, all the time, because I would just close my eyes and feel it. I don't know, I just remember that. That's the main reason why I always loved dancing growing up, just because of the music. And then with the falling in love with metal, I knew exactly what I love in music now. So totally understandable.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. And again, like I've told other people, your heroes have their heroes. So there's people that they're listening to, or actors they watched, or athletes that they watch, everything. So everyone's got those foundational pieces, just like like you do. And now here you are influencing a new generation of musicians and artists and makeup artists and hairstylists and models that look up to you. So that's got to be really awesome for you to be now in that position where people are looking up to you.
I never think about it that way. It always touches me very deeply when I receive messages about it, or letters about it, or confirmations about it in a way or another. It really does, because yes, I do try to be aware that I am a public person, and that everything I do, everything I say, people try to resemble or try to understand my actions and what I'm talking about, and because they can relate to me in a way or another, right? So I do try to be conscious. However, that doesn't mean that I'm ever like somebody else. So it makes me very happy that being myself with my ups and downs, because I'm not always the smiley, super radiant person, because I'm a human being, and we all have our days. It makes me happy that people accept me the way I am, and they still love and support me and my band the way we are.
Yeah, well, you're being your authentic self, and so by doing that, you're resonating with people in a genuine way, and that's when it's the best. That you're not trying to be something you're not, and people are still completely relating to it, and understand that too. That yeah, you're human. You're gonna have those days when you wake up and you're like, man, this day already I can tell sucks.
Oh my God, I went to the gym today with a very funny shirt and everybody was supporting me. I had a shirt saying, "Sick of your shit." And everybody was like, "Yes, thank you." It was one of those days. So even that happens sometimes.
Yeah, and there you go. And yeah, you just got to be you. You got to express yourself, and that's what you're expressing today. I see another question came in about who's going to be like puppy sitting while you're performing your set.
So Luna is a trained service dog, and she was trained to wait for me and be in louder environments like that. Obviously, the dog is not going to be in the showroom itself, in the concert room, but backstage or lounges or bosses, places like that. She was trained for that. Luna sat through a lot of our rehearsals. She's always in the studio with me when I scream my lungs out here in my home studio. So she's pretty much used to it. That being said, though, also the other bands are going to have puppies, which makes me super happy because Luna is not going to be lonely. Heidi is bringing her little baby on tour, and I believe somebody from Stitched Up Heart is gonna have a dog as well. Not sure if it's the vocalist. I don't know. I might confuse things, but I know for sure Toki is coming. So Toki and Luna are good friends already. So that's very good. Also, the show itself is not all that long, so she's not gonna miss me all that much. She's probably gonna even hang out sometimes with some, meet and greets, depending on the venue rules, I guess.
Okay, no, that's awesome, and yeah, I know Mixie from Stitched Up Heart is a huge animal lover, so it wouldn't surprise me if perhaps there we go. Okay, now we're kind of back. Yeah, that's gonna be fun to have all the different pets with you on tour, and it's also interesting too. Yeah, that she's a trained service dog too. I really love that aspect of it too.
Yes, that was for a little bit of a different reason, but I'm very happy we went through that, and we both learned a lot when it comes to animal and owner communication, first of all. And she's a very sensitive dog to where she can help me, because I've had some situations in a prior tour where I had panic attacks and it wasn't all that easy to go through the tour. So I'm very excited to have my healer with me.
That again, that's going to be great for you. It's going to be great for everybody, really. That there's just a huge plus for everybody. And if someone loves dogs in one of the other bands but doesn't have one, well, there's some around.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my band members, especially, every time, like, they all know Luna as well, because I traveled with her to Moldova twice now, and they all love her so much. They already know how to walk with her if it's needed, if I can't do it at the moment, or how to hold her, or, things like that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And Lena, as we get close to kind of wrapping this up, something I've done during this pandemic time is that I've actually had these things that are kind of like round tables, but they're fun tables where different guests I've interviewed come back together who've never met each other. And it used to be that I would ask these random questions that I literally found on internet sites, And
Okay.
I'm hoping that I can actually go back to this and ask you a couple of these questions and kind of see. So they're just kind of for fun.
Yeah,
to pick things up.
absolutely.
And I know that you do have a love of horror movies as well. So there's a couple questions related to that. Okay, cool. So let's start there. If you got trapped in one scary movie, which one would you choose?
Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, with Gary Oldman.
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah. Very cool. Let's see. You're in a horror movie. Are you the final girl, the first to die, the comic relief, the skeptic, the smart one, or the killer?
Oh my God, that's a tough one because I would probably either be the killer or the one to survive because I've been watching too many horror movies and I know what to do now. I think so. Also, yeah, the majority. I mean, if we are talking about like slashers or stuff like that, yeah, all those situations are so predictable that I will probably be the killer.
I'm right there with you because I grew up with horror movies, so it's like, yeah, I kind of know pretty much what's going on, and
Yeah.
there they go with that thing. Why are you going into that room? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Why
and-
did you left the gun? Take it. It's right there.
Yeah. And hi, Queen. Good to see you joining us again. Yeah, and we're talking about different questions here with Lena. Let's kind of move away from the horror and go to more general things. When was the last time you used a cuss word?
What do you mean?
That's like the F word, S
word,
MFR.
I have a trash mouth. I'm very sorry about that. I do. I was actually, for fun, I was given from a friend a t-shirt that says explicit lyrics or something like that. Although I don't use it in my lyrics. I don't really curse in my lyrics. I believe in my whole career, I've probably done it twice. But yeah, I do say the bad words that are actually good words. They're relieving. Therapeutical words.
There you go. Yeah, sometimes you just got to get that shit out, right?
Correct. Thank you.
Oh, this one's kind of interesting. Would you rather lose all your memories or never be able to make new ones?
Tough one right here. I'm not all about. I love to live the moment without thinking that I want to create a memory, like thinking about the future like that. You know what I mean? However, when you think about the past, though, if you think about the past, it's nice to have the memories from the past, good or bad, because they shape you for who you are. So if you lose them, who are you going to be? Mm-hmm. So probably I won't want to lose my past memories, and I would give up the newer ones and just enjoy the present for whatever it is.
That's a really amazing answer to that question.
I mean, I don't know. I think so. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because, yeah, like you said, if you don't have the past memories, good or bad, then you have no idea who you are as a person.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have that, then all is lost, really. Mm-hmm. So that's that's probably the best answer I've heard.
Okay, seriously?
Yeah, to that question. Gosh, I forgot how many rounds of these I had done, so I keep scrolling and scrolling. What's on the background of your cell phone?
Luna. I mean, I don't know if I can show you. I have so many notifications. Let me see. So I have over here, I have me holding Luna, but on my screen lock, it's just Luna's face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I guess that shouldn't be a surprise for anyone.
Yeah. It's probably the creature I love the most at the moment.
What's the biggest lesson life has taught you so far?
To be myself. to not be afraid to be myself. And if society doesn't accept you, or friends don't accept you, or your partner doesn't accept you for who you are, they are not your right people. It doesn't have to mean that you need to change. Yes, you can learn to be a better version of yourself, definitely, but not lying about who you are, ever.
Very, very well said. I think that's something that everybody can kind of learn, if they haven't learned it already, about there's so many people in your life that you're going to come across that are trying to change you or won't accept you for who you are. And if you start catering to that, then you become...
And we do it subconsciously. We don't do it on purpose. We love our friends, we love our family, we love our husbands and wives or our children so much that we choose sometimes to be somebody else to make them happy. But that's not the correct solution, because sooner or later who you really are is going to come out. So then tragedies can happen, depressions can happen, and or losing people can happen. So just be yourself. Yes, work on being a better version of yourself. Constantly try to improve, read books, listen to people actually, and all those things. Compromise sometimes, learn, but don't fake something. I mean, that especially like even little things. People just lie about little things all the time and then they forget about it like it's nothing. So yeah. I made a promise to myself long ago to never do that. And I think I did a pretty good job so far. I do get lost here and there, not with being somebody else, but with trying to please people I care about so much that I lose myself into just this constant goal of pleasing the people I love. So that's also pretty bad.
Okay, yeah, and it sounds like you've gone through a process of really becoming self-aware too of who you are, what your value is.
I think that's a constant work in progress. It's never, you can learn so much about this topic, so much.
Absolutely. I've talked to many guests. I used to be a teacher a long time ago, back when I had hair. And I always told them, yeah, you really are never done learning. And if you ever feel that you are, something's wrong. In any aspect of your life, as a person, skills, other things that are new to you, you can always learn. Let's kind of wrap this up with, let's find something kind of silly. Okay. If you could replace the handshake as a greeting, what interesting new greeting would you replace it with? So instead of doing this, what would you have people do?
Oh my God, I don't know. I'm a very, like, it's such an interesting point of view here, because normally I don't really like people much. So I'm not like, if they're strangers, I won't like really, jump into a handshake or a hug. However, if I know you already, I am very touchy-feely. Like, I will give you a hug to greet you. So I would say that if people should hug a little bit more, it's so relieving. It's such an interesting exchange of energy. Obviously, again, maybe not with a complete stranger, but even with a stranger, sometimes it would be more difficult for me, because a big part, not a big part of me, but there is a decent amount of introvert point of view that is pushing me into saying no hugging. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the touchy-feely emotional part of me is like, I'd much rather probably give a hug to a person, and I know that that person can use a hug, I think. So a hug, probably.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds like overall, more hugs, people.
Yeah, more hugs.
Exchanging that positive energy. And really quick, I remember that I was at a workshop, and the gal giving the workshop was explaining, in her point of view, that I was hugging completely wrong, because she used me as an example to come up and give her a hug. So I always go to my left, and apparently I was supposed to go to my right so that our hearts match up.
Oh, that's
I never
thought about it.
Yes, I never thought about it either. It's like if your hearts match up, a different exchange of energy happens versus if you go this way where they don't.
If I think about it correctly, if I think about it right now, like I think that's exactly what I do. My left arm goes on the shoulder of a person, I think, or vice versa. I don't remember. Yeah, I think that's what I do.
Okay, so you're already there then. I had to learn because I knee jerk to the left all
I
the
think
time.
next time I'm gonna give somebody a hug, I'm gonna think about it.
There you go. So yeah, I talked to this bald Asian guy, and he was talking about going to the right so that your hearts match up.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I go to the right, hugging, like putting my left arm around. I don't know. At least that's the picture that I just have right now in my head.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Sending you a big, big warm hug right now. Like my hands like that.
Awesome. Well, Lena, thank you so much for taking the time today and doing this interview. I so appreciate it. I wish you every success on the tour. I hope that we get a chance to see you probably in 2022 as my guest here in Seattle. All the fans around the world here in the chat, thank you for joining us, and for those watching this down the road.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank everybody. And so, I can't wait to see you on the road and see some of those videos and the new record coming out in January. And just wish you all the success in the world. And hopefully we get a chance maybe to actually reconnect if there is a minute to do it in between tours or something virtually. Yes. But if there isn't, I just know I'll get a chance to see you sooner than later at a show here in Seattle. Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. Thank you. Have a good afternoon down there. That's at the same time zone.
Yes, we are.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.